Hello and welcome. I am ZooSKP, and today we are going to let's install the Elder Scrolls Arena. So I have the original 3.5-inch floppy drives from this game. They have been sitting on my shelf since the late 90s. A couple years after the game's release, I picked them up at a garage sale. So it's 2019. I probably picked them up around 99 or maybe 2000. So they've been sitting around in my house for 20 years, and probably tried them a couple of times. Ran them on an old machine at one point. Never really got very far in the game. So now we're going to try that. We're going to install it and see how it works. So couple of things. So I have already installed DOSBOX. As you can see, we're in the open source DOS emulator of DOSBOX. I have already copied the floppy disk material to my hard drive using a USB floppy. If you want to do this at home with old floppies you have, the USB floppy is inexpensive. I spent about $10 on a Chuangangzuo brand USB floppy. It's a Chinese import. I'm not too worried about the Chinese government spying on my 1990s game floppies, but they're welcome to it. And what I've done is I have taken all 8 discs of the game and I've copied them into one directory which I've mounted as A. And the reason why I've done that is, first of all, if I put each disk in as a directory or as an image, I'm not sure I can exit, or I'm not sure I can mount and unmount as the installer is running. So I have copied them all to one directory, and I've made that the A drive. We can see, well, first of all, I'll show you the C drive. So I go to C:, that's the logical hard drive. I get dir, there's nothing there. But if I go to A:, all right, we have a whole bunch of files. This is all 8 of the floppy disks together in one directory. Now, the other thing I could have done, I might have tried mounting the USB floppy directly to A within DOSBOX, but I was worried that, first of all, it might not update when I change the disk, and then also the USB floppy is quite noisy, and it would probably get picked up by the microphone. So I have copied all of the disks to one folder, and then I have another folder that's empty as my DOS environment folder. That's the C drive on here. So let's type install. Let's see how this goes. Okay, configure game. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. No, when we first started up, we saw what the Sound Blaster emulator settings were. We need to set those. We need to set the sound card. We have a Sound Blaster. Was it Pro or 16? I can actually get this information from you can't see me doing anything. I am actually tabbing in other folders. I can access the configuration while DOSBOX is running by typing. All right, I'm in the DOSBOX folder in Windows, and if I go to the options.bat, okay, so I can see sound. I'm just searching through it. There's a MIDI. Okay, S Blaster. Okay, so we have a Sound Blaster 16. I guess that's Sound Blaster Pro or 16. And music card is also a Sound Blaster Pro or 16. And I think we need to set the I/O address, the IRQ, and the DMA. So for you kids who didn't mess around with hardware in the 80s and 90s, the I/O address, IRQ, and DMA were numbers that you had to have written down so that you could configure your software to talk to your hardware. I'm sure they still exist, but it's been automated since then. So the configuration is telling me that I have IRQ7, DMA1, and I don't know what the I/O address is supposed to be. If I hit escape, let's leave it at 220. Hopefully we'll get sound. IRQ should be 7, DMA 1. Good. We'll keep it at 1. Done. We'll do the same thing for the music. IRQ is going to be 7. DMA is going to be 1. And we'll hit done. Done. Install game. C:\arena, that's fine. That's going to go to a folder on my hard disk where, on my logical hard disk and my real hard disk, where the game's going to be installed. So let's do that. And let's see what happens. So eventually it may prompt to insert disk 2. And we should be able to just hit enter. So it's a DOS progress bar. I know this is riveting YouTube. Absolutely riveting YouTube. This is what you log on to see, is you log on to see a DOS progress bar made of cleverly colored characters in a fixed grid, and it's inching its way along. I think we're still on the first disk, so our test of whether my single folder scheme, and I should say I've copied the file contents of each floppy. I did not make images of the floppies, since I would have just ended up having to mount those with all the attendant problems that has. So 4%. I do wonder what's taking so long. I don't think that this is particularly CPU intensive. That's an interesting question, though. How do I look at my system resources without hitting Control-Alt-Delete? I'm sure Control-Alt-Delete would mess up the recording. So, little yawn. It is 11:30 p.m. here. Jagger Shield. Looks like it's still recording nicely. Alright, well, while we're doing this, I can talk a little bit about this game. So the basic plot is you make a character like with any RPG, and you have to escape from prison at the beginning. So escaping from prison is pretty straightforward, and you get communication in dream from a character whose name I can't remember. We'll find out her name. It's a lady. We'll find out her name as soon as we start. But the general idea is we are supposed to go around the world of the Elder Scrolls and gather pieces of, I think it's a staff, from different dungeons. So we have to go around, beat these dungeons, gather these pieces, and go back and defeat the big boss. And when I last tried this, I remember playing, and I remember escaping the dungeon pretty easily and then wandering the world and not really knowing what to do or where to go. And then I don't recall being able to work that out from in-game very well. Maybe I just wasn't paying very close attention. Who knows? If we need to go to a walkthrough, oh, it says please insert disc number 2. Let's do that. So I should just hit enter. Is it doing it? Yes. Okay. Oh, I just love the sound of my own voice so much that I talked right past the prompt. Okay, so if it's if disc 2 kicked in at 13% and there's 8 discs, well, 13 times 8 would be, well, times 10 would be 130. So times 8 would be 104. All right, so disk 8 is a little bit less, so we can expect to need disk 2 around 26%. Anyway, so we're going to get in there, do character. I may stop and do a sound check. Oh, pardon the yawn. Riveting, I know. I may stop and stop the recording, do a sound test before proceeding into the game. But yeah, we're just going to do the install. Okay, almost to the big 20. So what else is there to say? Well, I've played a little bit of more recent Elder Scrolls, mainly not Morrowind, Oblivion. I've played a fair bit of Oblivion, completed some quests in that one. I know that in Oblivion, there's a real effort to avoid gamey min-maxing and just say play your character, and the best way to get experience is to just play your character. But it turns out there were ways to abuse that to min-max as well. I think this one has no such attempt. I think it's very min-maxable. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to just try and make sensible decisions, play through. It may scale so that you don't have to go around grinding for levels. I don't know if that's introduced this early in the series. This is the first game in the series. The point about level grinding is so in Oblivion, they say, all right, don't grind for levels. Everything is scaled to your character level, and you will gain experience when you do skills that are in your character class quickly, and you will gain experience when you do skills outside your character class slowly. So, and there were ways to configure your character about what their skills were. So I don't recall exactly how, but the way to game it was you would choose skills as your primary class ones that were totally controllable. So for example, running, you have to push enter. Okay. If you do running, then walking around will gain you experience, and you don't want that to be major because you don't have control over it. Whereas doing alchemy, you had perfect control over how much alchemy you do, so that was a good choice. And then what you would do is you would grind on things like running, then before quickly leveling up on things like alchemy, and then you could guarantee that you are always strong relative to the world. I don't know what of that is possible in this game, but I'm not going to try that. I'm going to just play the game. We're going to do what we need to do to complete the quest, and then maybe we'll do a series on the next one, although I do not have floppies for the next one. So we'll have to find a way to get it. I believe there are copies out there online. Again, don't know. And feel free to, leave a comment or wherever. I haven't actually thought about where I want the conversation for this series to be. So this is a pre-launch recording of Zoo SKP. We'll be doing this series. We'll be doing a series of Europa Universalis 4. I have a big stack of floppy disks here, so if folks like the retro games, then maybe we'll play a few more of those. Alright, we will be expecting to have to push enter again when this gets to 39. I really don't know why it's so slow. We're doing a decompression. It can't be that much decompression. Maybe it's the fact that the CPU is working hard to make a good recording of this at the same time as it's doing an emulated decompression routine. I just don't know. Riveting stuff. Another yawn. Back in the day, this kind of wait was par for the course. Just you wanted to play, so you would wait through this kind of thing, and it legitimately took this long. That's what it took to copy a floppy and decompress its contents. Floppy copy. Copy the floppy. Wonder if we'll do a series on 5 1/4 inch, the truly floppy. Ooh, we get to press enter again. So I do have a couple of 5 1/4 inch drives on my office shelf. I have no reason to believe that they will work. I have every reason to believe that their parts have degraded, or they've been static charged, or even if I wanted to use them, they have their interfaces are no longer compatible with modern desktops. So what are they doing on the shelf? I don't know. I haven't looked to see if 5 1/4 inch drives are available. But there's plenty to do on 3 1/2, so that's what this one is. Alright, we'll be looking to push enter again when we get to 52. We'll be halfway there. Does that make sense? Yeah, we'll be done with disk 4, so a little bit past halfway. Getting tired. So I do wonder what sort of campaign we should do, or what sort of character. I tend to like to go for mages. Magic is usually fun to use, and it also tends to be, especially in these earlier games, it tends to be a curve of high risk in the beginning, high reward because you end up with a stronger character. So I am partial to magic users of various kinds. Just because I tend to prefer the difficulty early and then blasting through later on. Or maybe the difficulty curve is well designed. I just don't know. Now I do wonder if this if there's a problem with how it's counting the pixels, so we get this continuous shift downward. I do wonder if running this installer on an original DOS machine would have not yielded these weird artifacts. Hard to know. Okay, 46, and are we going to get 47? Give me 47, give me 47. 47. All right, still going for 52. What else is there to say? What else is there to say about the Elder Scrolls Arena? At the time I got it, I did not have any idea why it was called Arena. I recently read that the game was designed to be to have an arena combat focus that was eventually with like a side quest, and the side quest was eventually expanded to be the main game. But they'd already printed the art and manuals naming it Arena, so it was just called Arena without that meaning that you're going to do arena combat. Okay, should be a fun game regardless. %. Okay, insert drive 5. Well, thought it would be 52, but it's 50-50. Scheme seems to have worked. So, well, what can I talk about? I guess I can talk about the process for getting this thing to work. So, DOSBox you can download. You can download it for Windows, Mac, or Linux. I'm running this on Windows. I've configured DOSBox to run in a 1024 by 768 window on the desktop, which I've then captured in Open Broadcast Studio to make this screen capture. What else? So, okay. I made one directory on my hard drive for holding the DOS file system, being its logical hard drive. That's where our installed game will be stored. That's where our saved games will be stored. I have made another one to hold any floppy disks we need. So I copied all the floppies into this other directory, which I mounted as A. And that seems to be working swimmingly. So as we install more of these old games, we expect the logical C drive folder to grow, and the A drive to just be replaced by whatever nominal floppy disks I want to use at the time. And it's working. Now, I guess the installer may be confused by having 1024 by 768 as the native screen resolution. So, not sure what to do about that. That may be the cause of this downward shifting visual artifact. And then if it fails to draw the game correctly, well, we may have to downscale. So we'll get there. These are all issues to be determined at 100%. So will we be at 63% when I have to push enter again? 63, 76, 89, and then 100. Riveting scroll bar. This reminds me of the fantastic game Progress Quest, which is a way of doing the dungeon grinder RPG without having to grind the dungeon. It just does it all for you, and it reduces the whole thing to a series of progress bars. One fills up, and it adds a tick to the next one. So brilliant game, Progress Quest, if you can even call it a game. Okay. In the other direction, we don't have to go back further in time to 5 1/4. If we get done with 5 1/4. If we get done with 3 1/2, we can go to CD-ROMs, and we have to mess with our mscdex.exe. So those who recall, let's see, would have been the Windows 3.1, 3.2. Right before Windows 95, you had CD-ROM drives were available and CD-ROM based games, but Windows still ran on top of DOS, and you had to make sure that your mscdex.exe was running properly to configure your CD-ROM drive. We might get to mess around with that in DOSBox if we have the appropriate CD-based materials. All right, riveting progress bar 68. Well, I don't know what you guys are missing, because the real fun, that was copying the floppies to this directory in the first place, let me tell you. Should have recorded that. Can't record that. I don't want to show you the file system on my computer. But man, if you like this progress bar, you would have loved watching those floppies get copied. And it would have picked up microphone noise too, as the thing went brah, 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 brah. I actually had a USB floppy for years that worked fine, but I couldn't find it. Looked all over the office and all the old bins of electronics, but no luck. So I got a new one. It was just $10 on Amazon. Pretty simple. $74. Alright, it's getting late. It is getting late. But we're at least going to do the install, and I'll at least play through, well, we'll first see if it works, but hopefully I'll at least play through the character creation and the escape from prison quest. Then next session we can go beyond that. All right, 76. Don't know where to expect a break. So the last break was at 62. So based on that, I would have expected at 74. Oh, here we go, disc 7. The penultimate one. So we went from 62 to 77. That was 15% on a disk. So we might go to 92. I know the file content of disk 8 was somewhat less than the full 1.5 megabytes. Does it really matter anyway? We know we're going to have to push enter one more time. Okay, 82%. We're getting there. We're getting there. I don't believe this game has any of those old copy protection devices like asking you questions about the manual. I can't find the manual, so hopefully it's not going to say what's the first letter of the third sentence on page 10. I did see copies of it distributed online, so if we had to, we could, though I would prefer not to, of course. Just go running something we don't have the rights to. One thing to point out is with these retro games, don't assume it's abandoned. This is a current series with its publisher Bethesda still making Elder Scrolls Online. The presumption is that they care about the intellectual property of these games. So here I have a legitimate floppy disk copy, and we're playing it totally above board. Probably is easy to find copies of these things illegally. Don't do that. I think I read about a source, not sure if it's still active, that will sell a modernized distribution of this. So if you want to play it, go check that out. Or track down a set of these floppy disks. And 88. We're getting close. We're getting close to the fabled disc 8. Ooh, hey, this game asks for 8 parts of the staff. Comes on 8 discs. Coincidence? I think not. No, it's totally a coincidence. Wow, it's some great YouTube here. Let's install the Elder Scrolls Arena. Completed 90%. Love it. We should get to push enter real soon now. Okay. The final one. This one might go quicker. It has a lot. The discs 2 through 7 had 2 files each, and they were of the nature of arena1.dat, that kind of thing. But Disk 8 had a collection of executables and readmes and so forth. So hopefully there's nothing to decompress. Hopefully it can copy quickly. Hopefully this is not a fool's errand. All right, 93, 94. 95. 96. 97. Can we get 97? Watch, it fails at 99. All right. Jagarth.flc. Getting into the more interesting files. King.flc. Warhalf.flc. Tamriel.menu. All right. Installation complete. Type arena to start game. Okay. I'll exit. Yes, exit the installer. Thank you. C:\arena. dir. Okay. And we know it's up top. Arena will start it. Okay, I hear the sound. Hopefully that's getting picked up by OBS. Okay. Gaiden Shinji. The best techniques are passed on by the survivors. I think it's working. And it fits the screen. I'll read. For centuries, different factions battled in petty wars and border conflicts until 2E896. In 2E896, Tiber Septim crushed all those who opposed him and took control, proclaiming himself as emperor. Still, oh man, it got ahead of me. Different sides of the same coin tossed every day. The people of the known world began calling the land of their sorrow the arena. Now, 492 years after the Tiber Septim took control and kept the peace, the land of Arena has a new threat. The Emperor, Uriel Septim, celebrates his 43rd birthday. Okay. It is said that hope flies on death's wings. Prepare then, for as the Elder Scrolls foretold, it will be here that your adventure starts. Okay. I'm going to put in a cut.